This is Jeff's used appliances back again, and this time around I've got this grinder. It's a Dexter, right? There's the details. It's quite a good little grinder. It costs about €30, so it's not expensive. It's not what you call a professional tool. It's got a good size, nearly 2 meters of cable, and as you can see from this, it has been, you know, quite used. I've had it for about 4 years. This tape is because when I cut into this is a metal disc on it at the moment. I usually use diamond discs, but when I cut into walls, I have a tube that goes in there and it injects water onto the disc. So when I cut along walls, I just leave a trail of dirty water on the floor, which really makes people happy. And this is the tape that I use basically to hold the pipe in place. Now, this means that this grinder, and my job is damp proofing. I use it mainly for cutting into walls with water. I've had this for years, and that means that this entire part has been soaked virtually every time it's been used. I mean, I have to be careful that it doesn't get too wet. Luckily, with this big guide on it, it keeps the water away from the good end. Now this grinder, it's obviously been through the mill, and just pulling the cable off it. One of the things we noticed, now this thing, there's a little bit of movement. The lock, when it's locked on, is good and solid, right? Because anybody who is in a building game knows that when you can't find the chuck key, you know, the thing from doing this, you put a chisel there and hit it with a hammer and spin off the disc. It's off. You just hit it with a hammer. If you haven't got the proper tool, which always get lost. So this has been hit as well a lot of times because I'm dreadful for losing these, like the keys. Now, obviously, it's got little handles for using it better. It's pretty much self-contained, and funny enough, there's just a touch of grease that looks there. Now that's new. Just there, you can see a drop of grease, because all around here, it hasn't leaked. It's still pretty tough, and the best thing about this is that, again, anybody who uses grinders in a sort of semi-professional way knows that there's two things wrong with grinders in a lot of cases. One of which is that they've got a really short cable on, which is a waste of space. You know, you want a cable that's meters. This is about 2 meters long, and in the 4 years it hasn't broken just there, because that's usually what happens. That's where they go. The cables get damaged, and the other thing that happens is the button stops working. Either you push it on and it just clicks off. Now this button's got the little tag on it which fits in a hole, and as it is, it stays in. Now if you use this, it'll vibrate and pop out, which isn't such a bad thing, because you don't want a grinder on. You know, it's better that it switches off rather than stays on after a while. And to keep it on, you just push the piece up and just very light pressure to hold that just down, and you've got to hold it anyway, so you might as well hold it there. Right, so we've got a grinder that's got a decent cable, it's got a good box, it's been used to bits, although I'm a bit concerned about a little bit of grease. That's a new one. That's a new thing that's happened. Then again, it's done a lot of work. So the end result is that this little Dexter, just clean up that bit, these were sold in Aki, and now they sell quite a lot of it in Leroy Merlin, but I've looked on the net and they don't seem to sell them on Amazon and stuff. Anyway, the end result is, as a tool for about €30, definitely recommended, right? As I say, this has had a bit of stick. I'm not going to switch it on now, because I've got another video where I'm doing a generator and I use it in that just to cut some metal. So, right, I'm just talking about this, and I said one of the things that was good about it is that it actually, apart from the fact that it's still working this time, is that the cable at the back end hadn't been damaged or broken. And part of the reason for that is that if you use tools like this, you've got all of this to get rid of every time you finish working, which is great to have a lot of cable, but where does it all go? Now the important thing is that you do your tools. Don't let other people do it, right? So in this case, I take it around the top of the grinder, and then I wrap it round, but I don't pull it. I just let it fall, more or less. Yeah, I just guide it so it's wrapped around, and then if I want to be flash, I can tuck it through, but I don't like to do that because it pulls the wire down. But I'll do it for now, yeah. So now, but every time I do that, I do it the same way, and it pulls this the same way, not too tight. And that's why, one of the reasons it's lasted so long. Just a little tip, right? Anyway, see you later. Let's see.